Practice makes permanent, so you better be practicing perfectly. However, for starters, you should be practicing, period. How many of us are not even practicing, period? How many of us are just showing up to the golf course a little bit early, going to the driving range and trying to fix something on the driving range and then going and playing around, and it's a disaster.
Yep, and then wondering why we don't get any better,
Right?
Yep.
So working harder, not smarter. If you're going to get something out of this, then let's work smarter, not harder. It really is simple, not easy. It is very simple, though, as long as we've got a plan. Where do we start?
Well, where I would start in our practice plan down below that we've copied for you is doing SMART goals. I'm sure a lot of you who worked in the business world have heard of these before.
Okay. So specific, measurable, actionable, right? SMAR.
Yeah.
Realistic,
And time-based.
time-based.
So those are the important things that you need to do when trying to create a goal. So we have to make sure the goal is specific. We don't want you to go out there and be like, I just want to get better. What does better look like? What does better look like to you?
Better looks like for me is hitting 12 fairways out of 14.
Okay.
Off the tee with the driver.
Right. That doesn't hit one of the other goals right now. That doesn't hit the realistic goal.
Right. So it depends. In my game right now, if that's not realistic, then I got to back off a little bit and say, is it realistic to hit 12 out of 14 fairways?
Exactly. You don't want to put the goal too far out of reach that you feel you're not making progress.
All right.
Yeah.
Said differently, if you're struggling to break 100, a realistic goal is not to shoot in the 70s in the next 3 months.
Right. That's just not going to happen. One of the most important parts of this is that it's time-based. You are giving yourself a date that you have to do this by. I want to shave 3 strokes off my score by 3 months from now. That way you know you either objectively did or didn't meet these goals. You can reassess why you didn't or did meet them to set your next goals.
And to get even more specific on that particular goal, I want to shave 3 strokes off of my putting.
Exactly. Even more specific. That's an even better goal.
Because where are you going to get those 3 strokes from?
Exactly.
Is it going to be off the tee? Is it going to be off the fairway? Is it going to be short game? Is it going to be putting?
Exactly.
So specific, I want to shave 3 strokes off of my tee shots.
Yep.
So I'm hitting in bounds.
Exactly.
Right?
Yep.
Measurable.
Meaning
the number 3.
Yeah. That it's an actual goal you're putting a number to, not something vague like I just want to get better at chipping.
Yeah. Actionable. How are we going to do it?
Exactly. You have an action plan for how you're going to do this, a practice plan.
Right? So I'm going to go to the driving range this many days a week for this amount of time. I'm going to do these biomechanic, these bodywork drills at home this many days a week, this much time per time. Right? So that's actionable. SMAR, realistic. Is it realistic that we can shave 3 strokes off of our tee shots?
Maybe. It just depends on it depends on the other parts of that goal, right? And the last one is time-based, making sure that you have a date set for your goal, and that date is sometime not 3 years from now so you can work towards it.
Yep. Not 3 years from now, not 3 weeks from now, usually something more realistic.
Exactly.
Good. What's next?
The next thing is warm-ups. So this is just making sure that when you go to the course, or even for a lot of us, when we go to the driving range, we just go stand out there, put the bag down, and start hitting, right? There's no stretching involved. There's no nothing involved. Especially when you get older, you will actually do more harm to yourself than good a lot of the times by not warming up. You end up pulling something and then can't play golf at all.
What does older mean?
Older means probably past 20. If you're past 20, you should probably warm up, right?
So I am guilty of this. I am very guilty of this, especially when I'm playing with my friends, or even more important with my brother-in-law. It's like we're just rolling up straight to the tee box. Let's go bang it around.
Yeah.
But when it's time to actually score, when we're trying to actually improve on our game, there's more time. A minimum of 20 minutes before I start banging balls. That's my warm-up, right?
Exactly.
Fundamentals.
So when we're practicing these things that you're going to practice doing your SMART goals, we want to make sure we're practicing the right things. Not just going out there to the range and whacking wedges to some sort of vague distance away. making sure that we are practicing proper fundamentals. Even if we're not having as much fun because we're not swinging out of our shoes, we want to make sure that the fundamentals are there so that our game actually improves.
What's an example of a fundamental that should be practiced, could be practiced?
Arm position in the backswing, keeping your left arm from bending, keeping your arms lower in the backswing. Any of those things are fundamentals.
Fundamentals. Good. Divide practice time.
What that means is when you go out to the range, you're not just standing there and hitting driver for an hour. You're not just standing there and hitting a 7-iron for an hour. You're dividing up your practice time. If you're only going to practice for an hour, equally between the parts of your game. Something we're all very guilty of is going to the range, hitting driver and 7-iron and leaving. We never pull the putter or wedges out of the back.
What do I need to practice the putter for? That's not any fun.
Exactly. Nobody likes doing that. It's not fun, but most of your strokes are gained there.
Yes. Quality over quantity.
What that means is that if you take 10 horrible swings really quickly, you're going to hit one good ball from those, and you're going to learn absolutely nothing. If you make one really good swing in the time it took you to take 10 really bad swings, you're going to gain a wealth of information. Make sure the swings that you're taking are proper golf swings and not just, rake and pray.
Okay, so most people, when they're at the driving range, I hit a ball and the ball barely even has time to land, and I'm already getting the next ball ready to hit it again.
Right, that's rake and pray.
That's
raking them out there.
Rake and pray. What we're saying here is be strategic. If on average you're used to hitting 5 balls in 2 minutes, maybe you should take 1 ball in 2 minutes.
Exactly. Just take 3 or 4 really well rehearsed practice swings, feeling the fundamentals, and then actually try to hit a ball. And if you hit that ball bad, don't immediately rake another one out there thinking that that's somehow going to be different than the other one. Go right back to really good practice swings and fundamentals, and then try to hit it.
Good.
Good.
Use drills and games.
So sometimes practice gets a little boring, right? Just standing out there, taking practice swings, and then hitting a ball. Sometimes it gets a little boring. There are some games down below. Some people have probably played them before. They're just something to help keep you entertained as you're playing. The drills that we're going to give you are obviously really important for you, but it helps break up the monotony of just hitting golf balls. So that's something important to do. That goes into the next one. Some of the games that I'm going to give you simulate on-course situations. So that when you get onto the golf course and you're required to hit a shot for a score, people get nervous. It's just what happens. And we behave differently and do things that we wouldn't normally do, like on the range when we're comfortable. So we try to take that comfort on the range and blend it in with an on-course situation, like hitting a driver to a distance on the range in the fairway, and then hitting an approach shot like you would on the golf course, instead of just hitting 10 drivers in a row.
Right. So making sure that you're really thinking about the course that you're playing. A lot of really successful golfers do this is on the driving range, they play the course.
Yep.
What is number 1? Is it a par 4 or 5? What are you going to do? Are you teeing off with a driver or a 3-wood or an iron?
Exactly.
Play that hole exactly the way that you're planning on playing it, so you're practicing specifically to what you're trying to implement.
Exactly.
Because so many people underestimate, maybe not underestimate, or don't fully realize why they can be banging balls perfectly on the driving range. Then they get out on the course and it's a disaster.
Yep.
It's because there's repercussions. It's that simple. So going through the mental process of playing the course before you actually play the course on the range will just help take the edge off.
Absolutely. And it really does help. So make sure you try this. The next thing is recording and reviewing. That means whenever you have the capability or time, record your golf swing. Look at it. See what it looks like. So make sure that if you are recording your swing, you're recording it properly. There's tutorials on the website. And make sure that you're seeking help with understanding what those swings should look like, and you're starting to measure feel versus real.
One thing that I want to say on that is I can honestly say that 100% of the time that I've recorded one of my clients and showed them the video and asked them what they think is wrong with it, 100% of the time it is the symptom of the actual problem that occurred earlier in the golf swing.
Absolutely.
100% of the time. So this is a problem with all of us. We're too subjective to be objective. Even when I'm looking at my own videos, I'm wrong 99% of the time. I have to say, Case, what caused me to do this? Not I'm doing this. What caused me to do this?
Right, and that's what we want to do here is chase the problems, not the symptoms of the problems. That's what we're going to try to help you do. The next thing is the mental practice, which means on-course simulations, making sure that when you go out to the golf course, your mental part of the game, which is arguably one of the most important parts of it, is starting to get trained too. So being patient, working on course strategy, those kinds of things.
Yes, the hardest 6 inches in golf, between the ears. Patience is a big one. Feeling rushed to make a putt is the worst thing that you can do.
Yep.
Feeling rushed to make a chip is the worst thing you can do because that's where strokes are made or gained.
Exactly.
Right there. Usually you don't have an issue on the tee box because everybody's just taking their time. It's like if we're in a hurry to get the ball in the hole as fast as we can once we're on the green or around the green, and it just is not good. So mental preparation. Take your time. Focus. What are we doing here?
Yep. And then fitness. Fitness is very important. A lot of people think they can just go sit behind a desk or sit at home on the couch and then go out to the golf course and wonder why their back hurts on hole 10. That's just not how it works. There has got to be, if you want to get better, some sort of attempt to start to get those muscles a little more used to being used and activated in more things than golf.
More importantly, I've got many people that I've worked with over the years that say, I go to the gym and I do bridges and I do squats. I'm working on my glutes all the time. But you're not able to translate that strength into the golf swing. So sport-specific fitness is even more important.
Absolutely. And then the very last thing is making sure that you are patient with those goals you set for yourself. Every one of my clients says something along the lines of, I expect to be further along right now than where I am. And that's unfortunately just doesn't happen as quickly as they want it to.
You have to remember that we're constantly comparing ourselves to the people on TV because that's what we see. We're seeing it all the time and we're just going, look at how good they are and how bad we are. You've got to understand that how many hours a week are they working on their game?
Exactly. At least 40 or 50.
40 to 50 hours a week they're working on their game so they can make it better, right?
Yep.
How many hours a week are we working on our game? On
About
average,
40 or 50.
on average, your typical client, how many hours a week?
If you include golf, maybe 12.
Not golf.
Not
practice.
playing. Just
practice.
Maybe 2.
Maybe 2. So the vast majority of golfers, amateur golfers, are spending maximum 2 hours a week on practicing golf. You just can't get better fast if you're doing that. It's not realistic.
It's not realistic. And you also have to remember that those guys on TV are top tier athletes. They can get away with practicing something and getting better 52 hours a week. You just, even if you practice 52 hours a week, it might take you a little longer than the time frame you have in mind. Be patient with yourself and with your schedule.
Yep. One of the last things that I'll say about this is just because the people on TV playing on Sundays are playing the same game that you are, golf, doesn't mean that you're an elite athlete like they are.
Right.
It's no different from me watching Michael Jordan drive down the lane and dunk it and me saying, well, it's just basketball. I should be able to do it.
Right.
No, Jordan is an elite athlete. The people playing on Sundays, they're elite athletes. Just because, here's where I've heard this and this resonated a lot. People tend to think that they're capable of doing it because any golfer is capable of hitting one great shot exactly the way they do it on TV. But they're not able to do it reproducibly over and over again.
That makes sense.
So because you were able to hit that one great shot, it's like, yeah.
Yep.
Now it's like, well, I should be this good.
Mm-hmm.
It's not true.
Nope.
So go back through, watch this video again. This is a very humbling video so that you can mentally prepare yourself what it's going to take to get better. Good?
Good.
Yeah!
So in this video, we are going to discuss what we talked about a minute ago, which is filming your golf swing. So when we film down the line,
we would like the camera to be positioned directly behind your hands, about hand height. The one on the left here that was taken in the office isn't perfect. I would much prefer it to be a little bit further left. That's why I drug it out here as an example. What we would like to see when we look at down the line is somewhere along the lines of this. This is at hand height down the line of where the hands would be if I was holding a club. That's what we want to see in down the line. That way we can see plane. Face on, just about the same thing. Camera at hand height, right in front of your hands. You centered in the middle of the frame. If you're going to take it with a phone, take the down the line videos horizontally and take the face on videos vertically. It helps just to see the swing the right way. I will also post something into the group about um, recording these, just like a little pamphlet in case anybody needs it, so you can take it with you, print it out or whatever. But if you're going to submit videos, this is what we would like to see.